People have told us how their current forecasting process is slow, involves manual and repetitive data entry, or building a forecast baseline using simple and less accurate mathematics. AI forecasting helps improve the situation by putting the power of predictive algorithms in the hands of users without requiring them to be data scientists. This enables you to create more accurate, consistent, and timely forecasts. The AI evaluates the historical data for an item and uses 8 predictive models, trend and seasonality, to recommend the best solution. Let me show you.
I'll start with the Forecast tab in my Planalytics workspace book. I need to forecast the gross revenue. I use the AI forecasting icon in the workspace to open up the predictive forecast icon. Select the item and a start of the forecast period, May 2020. Next, I'll select to preview the results. The preview is a graphical representation of both the historical values and the future predictions. Additionally, an envelope is displayed showing the confidence or range intervals. The AI has evaluated the historical values using 8 different exponential smoothing models, including seasonality and trend, and has recommended the model and predicted values with the best fit and the highest predictive strength. Now that I've seen the values produced by the AI forecasting, I'll go ahead and I'll commit those values in the forecast to my application. I'll refresh my view, and those forecast values are now committed into my application.
We've already seen how AI forecasting can be used to predict and forecast values at the lowest level of my product or account hierarchies, thus supporting a bottom-up forecasting process. Now let's take a look at a top-down forecasting method, where I predict the future results for consolidated items in my product hierarchy. In this example, I'll use AI forecasting to forecast values for the tablets level of my hierarchy. And using the power of the TM1 engine, those values will be spread down to the lower levels of my product hierarchy relative to the values of the individual underlying products and the detected seasonality. As we've seen before, I'll use AI forecasting to generate predicted values for the tablet item. The system will generate a preview in a graphical form of the prediction, and we see the prediction strength is strong. I'll then go ahead and commit those forecasts values, and I'll see that those values predicted at the tablet level of the product hierarchy have been spread downward to the individual products relative to the underlying values and detected seasonality. In this example, I'll put myself in the shoes of a sales manager, needing to forecast the number of units sold in the future. I'll show you some of the advanced AI forecasting features that make this easy. Specifically, I'll show how to save the statistical details as comments in a forecast, and how to specify the locations in TM1 to save the predicted values, including the confidence interval, the upper and lower boundaries, so they can be used to analyze trends over forecast cycles. So first I'll select the AI forecasting icon and reveal the predictive forecasting panel. I'll specify the start of the forecast period to be May 2020. And I'm also going to check this box. By checking this box, I'll save the statistical details, the information of the model accuracy, the trend, and the seasonality from the AI into Planalytics workspace comments. Next, I'll select the Advanced tab in the panel. The first item in the panel lets you specify the number of historical periods to ignore when calculating future predictions. It could be the previous time predictions haven't been completed yet, and no historical values are available yet. This item lets you specify which items you should ignore in calculating future predictions. You can also select the confidence range, the confidence required for the future predictions. The software defaults to 95%, but we include options for 90 and 99%. The higher the confidence selected, the wider the range will be because the AI needs to be more confident that the future values will be inside the range. Next, the panel also allows the modeler to specify the location to store the predicted values. I'll select Save, and then I'll go back to the original Setup the Forecast tab. So next I'll go ahead and I'll preview the forecast to get an idea of what's going to happen. On the preview, we see the historical balances, a chart of the historical balances. We see a definite trend line moving upward. We can see across the peaks, and we see actually there's seasonality in the troughs and the peaks that are defined on a regular basis. When I scroll down, I'll see we have a lot of the statistical details. We have the accuracy. In this case, we see that the predictive strength, the accuracy was 0.69. We see the contributions from seasonality and also from trend. And we'll see that the top of the prediction was a strong indicator. Behind the scenes, the AI has applied 8 exponential smoothing models to the historical records and found the one with the best accuracy in order to predict the future forecasts. Next, I'll go ahead and I'll select the forecast button, and I'll generate a forecast. We'll see that you'll receive a toast message on the top of the screen indicating that the forecast has been completed. You also see the comment in Planalytics. So the comment will summarize those statistical details that we saw a little while ago in the preview, but it summarizes the overall accuracy, the contribution of seasonality and that of trend into the comment, and it puts it in there so you have a rationale going forward of how the forecast value was made. Okay, now let's see, we specified that the forecast value and the upper and the lower confidence interval should be saved into versions inside of the TM1 database. And we can see that the forecast values have been stored, the on target have been stored in the forecast dimension, the forecast version, and the high and the low boundaries have been stored within version dimensions. This can be very helpful for companies to see how their manual forecast compares to the predicted values and the higher or the low range in those predictions. It's also helpful for the companies to see how the forecasting is becoming more accurate from one cycle to another because that translates into bottom line improvements.